Welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
Tonight we're talking about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 36, A Desperate Call.
Yes. Lots of things going on in here.
Yeah. And I think Matt did a great job balancing everything.
Yeah.
And it was quite the nostalgia trip, Rose, for sure.
Yes.
And some Easter eggs for longtime fans. And we begin where we left off.
Yep.
Coming through this sun tree.
Yes.
And them seeing Whitestone and guards approaching the tree and being like, oh, it's Keyleth, okay.
Yeah.
I loved Chetney checking in with Keyleth about, hey, do you think I could take some wood from this massive tree? Maybe you should check with the chamber.
Yeah.
There has to be fallen limbs out of it.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what season they're in.
True. So one of the things that sort of came back to bite him a little bit was them not narrating, we tell Keyleth about X, Y, and Z. They did some actual role play on the trip.
Right.
But that's kind of a hike from the sun tree to the castle.
Yeah.
Like maybe 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the biggest thing is I don't know, to you, did it feel like Keyleth regressed a little bit? As far as socially? She seemed to go back to the nervous, because by the end of campaign 1, she was fairly confident.
I think she was confident here as well.
She seemed more like the level 12 to 15 Keyleth that was still...
I think the asks that she made were difficult asks to make. Let me see the body or the corpse, or, she's having difficulty choosing the words she wanted to use. But what made me laugh, or kind of tickles me, in the sense that, oh, that's not Keyleth, is when she said, the divine is not really my bailiwick. That is not a Marisha word.
No.
That is a Matt Mercer word that he uses most often from people in leadership or of highly educated status. Yeah. And it just made me laugh.
I think my favorite interaction was when she was talking to FCG and she's like, I've never met an automaton with this. Oh yeah, it's because I used to be a killer from thousands of years.
I was designed as a killer, as an assassin.
Oh, okay, change is good. And I just thought back to Robin.
Good change.
Good change.
Used to be shithouse. Yeah.
And then later on, when he's like, "Oh yeah, it's been what, 6 days? Oh, this is a recent change."
I loved her one day at a time.
Leaving out the context there.
And also foreshadowing for what's going to happen next episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that, and Sam was not even being coy about that.
No.
He's like, I'm going to give you and you and you, and he just kept trying to hand them out. And they're like, well, I don't need it right now. Oh, no, it's cool. I'm getting stressed. Wait, what? And then when he, like, took half the damage, and he's like, oh, I don't get to attack them. You know, he made it sound like he was upset. He didn't get, and he kind of was because they were in the middle of a battle, but you could tell by the grin on his face that that's 10 more points towards stressing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam had that plan to go full stress bot.
I loved the, you met the gods? Because she's like talking about which ones.
Yeah.
It helps when you meet them. You what? That was...
Yeah, realizing how... Because I think up until that point, the characters, other than Orem, didn't realize that Keyleth was Keyleth.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, she rules a tribe. You're a guard for the mayor of the city. Big deal.
Yeah.
Wait, what? You met gods?
Yeah. And...
Like, plural?
Yeah. Yeah. Keyleth determines whether or not resurrection is even possible.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things that they were worried about.
Yes.
Um,
And at first, when they were talking about the poison, I thought Frigid Woe. Because that's also a poison they designed that can't be cured through divine magics. But with how Frigid Woe works, it couldn't be that.
Yeah.
So it's a poison that we have not seen mechanically introduced.
I think it is...
Going to be in the Marquette sourcebook?
Yes.
In the Campaign 3.
And it's going to be yet another mechanical way to make death permanent in D&D.
Yes.
And...
Good evening.
I don't know how I feel about it. Because Matt already makes resurrection hard. I don't know if you need a poison to do that.
Personally, I like it. I don't think he makes it hard, per se. I mean, he doesn't hand it out carte blanche. But in all honesty, the process, the ritual, does not generate that difficult of a number unless you've died multiple times.
Yeah, I'm not saying...
and that is...
There's a barrier.
Yeah, that's less to make coming back hard and more to make a resurrection a roleplay experience rather than I cast an action.
Yeah, it's fair. But she does determine Keyleth does not have this.
Odd does not have. Same player, wrong character.
I can't promise I'm not going to do that multiple times tonight.
Hey, at least Bo wasn't involved too.
Yeah.
Although it would not surprise me, because if they go down the Ludinous track, they're going to meet the Empire kids.
Yeah.
They're going to meet Bo, Caleb, Yasha.
Yeah. That will be interesting.
If they go down the Ludinous track.
Yeah.
Which I feel is going to be like the moon plot thread in Campaign 2. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay, let's leave it alone.
Yeah. It's fair. we see the Musketeers, as I like to call them, and that hat that Matt described seemed like it could have been out of the 1994 Disney movie.
Yeah, no, that's about right. It was right at the end of 94, 95, because it was right around the end of high school for me when that came out. Yeah. God, I'm old. It's still a great one.
It is.
I mean, anything with Tim Curry, but
it's such a good cast. But anyway. I loved, well, the table loved The Lord is In. And Travis,
yes,
The Lord is In.
And yeah,
and
on the way,
Taliesin.
just retracting a little bit, you know, with Imogen, Laura pushing the narrative, but Imogen noticing, hey, wait, this is Lodge's tree. She said it was the tree into the center.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and just continually building on that through the whole, hey, she was in that, wait, you were there too? Hey, you know who this is.
Yeah, I think Taliesin and Ashley were my favorite
reactions.
Yeah, to the Campaign 1 characters. Just because Ashley wanted to steal from Pike and Percy made, or Taliesin made like Ashton was going to fight Percy.
Yeah.
So good.
And I
promised also not to be myself.
Yeah.
So
because we need to get shit done.
There's so much bound up in that.
There is so much bound up in everything Ashton did in this episode. But the other thing I love, the other Easter egg I love that happened in the scene before they meet Percy, is he talks about as they walk, the grass grows and Liam's reaction, I'm going to be in tears because it's straight out of what Vax did for her as a first level druid, level 20.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Captain Kynan is our first Easter egg, who was one of the first riflemen of Whitestone.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember how exactly the scene went, but it was when they were training them. Is the scene that I'm thinking of. And Percy, to try to humble these people, tries to show off and his gun jammed.
Yeah.
So good. I think Matt had fewer slip-ups as Percival.
Yeah.
Like I say, the bailiwick line sort of was a jolt coming out of Keelan's mouth. But I didn't have a moment like that with Percy.
No.
The Derolo children.
Yes. First Gwendolyn. And when they saw the shadow, and Ashley and Sam were like, is that Scanlan? That's Scanlan. I was like, no.
I knew it was.
I knew it was Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
I knew who it was, and I was just like, no, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I
Travis's reaction to her surprised me.
Almost like he didn't know they had a tiefling.
No.
Or he had forgotten.
No. Travis knows something that we don't. That's what that reaction was.
Okay.
And, like, Laura was trying to downplay it. And she couldn't, like, hold herself back from laughing at Travis. But there's something going on with Gwendolyn. I don't know what it is, but something's brewing.
We shall see.
That
may be campaign 4, because like you speculated, maybe one of them will be the tiefling girl.
Yeah.
The children of the first.
We get a taste of Keela's to-do list.
Yeah.
As she's explaining the mountain of problems that the Archdruid of Exandria is privy to.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. But one of those lists of things that she listed off, we are going to see. And that is the Rogue Ashari.
Oh, yeah.
I think when we dive into Ashton's backstory, that's when that's going to become relevant.
Yes. Yes. Especially after the vision he had with his parents and dad putting on the mask. And I think it's going to be more of a throwback than just a rogue splinter section. I think they are going to claim being from the Hishari from EXU Calamity.
Yeah.
And going back to those roots.
Yeah. Well, and or like worshipping the Titans.
Yeah.
And the primordials. That we should not be, praying to these gods. They're colonizers.
And either one would justify whatever happened to Taliesin to change him from elf or half elf, whatever he was, because we know there was Elven.
Yeah.
To a Ganassi.
Yeah.
Whether it be Titans or just call back to the original Druids.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that I thought one of the things that I enjoyed was Orem trying to gently warn Percy that, maybe you don't want your daughter in the room.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how comfortable is she about death? And I'm like, she's the tiefling daughter of the Derolos and lives in Whitestone. There's a crypt under her house. I think she's fine with death.
Yeah. And the reason she's a tiefling is because of Orthax.
Yes. And Mommy's twin brother is the right hand to the Raven Queen.
Yeah.
Uncle Vax is an angel of death. Yeah. Basically. I think she's fine with it, guys.
She's reading a medical journal. She's a little above play clocks.
Yeah. Chetney's reaction to the clock tower was a little surprising, and I think that was more Travis trying to put something in there. Because thus far he hasn't been particularly impressed with any other engineering or public artworks.
My favorite part about that is when he pitches for a job and Percy asks him about mechanisms and he gets all,
So, on my first watch, I enjoyed that as an excellent example of networking for artists. To get patronage. And on my rewatch, I realized how great it was and subtle that while he seemed to be pitching for himself, what he was doing was pitching for Bell's Hells.
Yeah.
because he sort of puts it all on a bow and says, you and that Keyleth lady seem to have a lot on your plates, and maybe we can take some of that off your hands. Which I was like, oh, interesting. What did he call it? CPOC Industries.
Yeah.
It's funny. But yes, Percy asking, well, what about mechanisms? And him having a near-death experience for it.
Make a concept.
That was so funny. And then I loved when he gives the rocking wolf to Gwendolyn, and Imogen loses it. Where's my thing? I hope that is Travis is going to troll his wife with not giving her a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I want it to be at the denouement of the campaign when they're talking about what they're doing afterwards. Chetney builds a coffin for Imogen when she dies.
Wow. Okay.
Because it's still possible that he still outlives her, even though he is an old gnome.
Yeah.
Because she's only human, so yeah. That's my hope, is that he never gives her anything, and at the end of the campaign, when they're talking about what they're gonna do, Travis says, "I build her a coffin when she dies."
You really want to see Travis get hit, don't you?
I enjoy marital spats. It was one of the best parts of EXU Calamity.
Valid.
I also thought I enjoyed it a little too much. Vexalia getting her way around Percy and watching Travis react to that too.
You mean Vex and Percy's relationship not having skipped a beat since we saw them in campaign 1?
Yes. Yeah. It's like, this is the woman who betrayed her brother, went behind his back to marry Percy. She's going to do what she wants to do, especially if it's for the good of the greater good.
Yeah.
Especially if it's going to, if in her view it will help Percy gain some kind of closure, she's going to do it.
Or even just give her some.
Well,
closure.
There's that too, yeah.
Because one of the big reasons she's doing it is that was her.
Yeah. Orem taking the lead,
Yes.
I enjoyed. And I think the reason he did it was several-fold. One, I don't think Imogen was up for it.
True.
Two, Orem kind of knows these people, and he knows how to talk to them.
3, just the tag, because, it's normally he just says he's Orem. Very rarely does he say he's Orem of Arashari.
Yeah.
And he said that every time he met someone.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with Keyleth. This is my group. We're with Keyleth.
When she leaves the room,
let me remind you, we're with her.
When she leaves the room, Orm stands just a little taller. He's a full 3'4". So good.
Yeah.
One of the interesting aspects of the interaction with Percy, and it was all there from Taliesin, but it was interesting to see where Matt took it, is Percy's commitment to the way of things. His commitment to, some people die and that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Bringing people back is not.
It's very, I don't want to say black and white, but very analytical, matter-of-fact approach to things.
Yeah. And to me, I read that all as the only real deific connection that Percy had was with the Raven Queen.
Yeah.
And he sort of paralleled Vax's journey and tried to adopt more of the iconography and do all these different things to the point that they built a chapel.
Yeah.
That hadn't been there.
Well, and it gave me, it was spot on for Percy, and it gave me vibes of when he and Grog had the showdown in Percy's lab. And just his matter-of-factness, this is the way it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sticking to this. I don't care the outcome.
Yeah. And again, very nearly came to blows with a barbarian.
Exactly.
Luckily, Ashton's not or unlucky for Percy, Ashton's not as dumb as Grog.
Yeah.
Yeah. The twins and Vexalia arrive.
Yes, from hunting.
Not out with their bears.
Right.
And they were talking about how many kills they got. But they weren't carrying anything. And I don't know if that was an oversight on Matt's part, or if...
No, the servants had it and were taking it through the servants' quarters. Through the servants' entrance. The nobles hunt. They don't pack their own shit.
Fair, okay. Yep. Why are we splitting the bill with somebody who lives in the castle?
Yeah.
I loved Orem / Liam because I think it's hard to separate the two, just fanboying over all the members of Vox Machina that they meet.
Yeah.
To the point where he's like, I should have warned you guys, these guys are kind of legends. And him pointing out to Imogen after Vex leaves, you can see the resemblance.
Yeah.
And then probably the best my character is ignorant of the history line of the night. When Imogen asks Percival de Rollo, were you here when the Briarwoods were here?
Okay. Yeah. For me, it was FCG. Wait, you know gods too? How many of you people know gods? Aren't you just a baker? I can tell if you have a spirit. That is my specialty. As a baker?
I love that became the joke. And it's thanks to Laura, because she's like, I thought you said she was a holy person. She's a baker? People can have many interests.
It's the difference between background and class.
Well, and it's something that we kind of forget nowadays, but almost all breweries were monasteries. They were all monks, priests, holy people. So, yeah. And we learned that Pike still wears her sprinter's boots.
Yep.
Not
so much the plate of the Dawn Martyr.
And left.
That's propping up books.
I love the callback that was it Taliesin or Liam?
Liam.
That said that's the Dawn Martyr.
Mads, all you hear this. Oh, it's the plate of the Dawn. That was Liam.
Also, I think Ashley took a step back too quickly when they
yes.
Yeah,
Pike and roast bake off.
Yeah.
And they need to have it in Byrodden. They both need to go to Byrodden for the pie festival and have the bake off there. Just tie everything together.
Yeah.
And Jester with her blueberry muffins.
Yeah. So Ashley's taking a step back from the description of the house, and she says there are pictures everywhere. And she's like, "Oh well, paintings. Technically, she could have photorealistic drawings of everybody because Dodie did that."
Yeah.
So, like, Pike's house could be furnished with Dodie renderings of her, Scanlan, and the kids.
Yeah.
That was the one place that I was kind of disappointed, is we didn't get to see the short halt Trickfoot offspring. I started thinking about it, and I was like, they probably work at the bakery if they haven't gone off on their own yet.
Yeah.
But they'd only be 30, 25, 30.
So a few of them probably have taken off. A few of them probably stayed. They're still at the bakery.
Yeah. So one of the things that made me laugh so hard to myself in the episode was Matt, as he's playing Vox Machina,
right,
falls into how they used spell components. No need to pre-purchase. If you've got the gold that's lying there, you can get it. They did that with and it's not the first time Vax has taken jewelry off to provide diamonds for a resurrection.
Yeah.
So that's in keeping. But Pike's saying, "Oh, I need bars of silver and jacinth worth 1,000 gold." Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't that be at the castle? It made me laugh.
Yeah.
Because Matt's been like, we're not doing that anymore. And now that he's playing Vox Machina, he's doing it.
No, I mean, when you're level 20 and have your own kingdom, you probably have shit on hand.
Keyleth didn't.
There. But Keyleth also wasn't at home.
True. And if there's any member of Vox Machina that's going to have gemstones, it's
The
Xayah.
Derolos.
Yeah.
The coin keeper.
Yeah. Getting the short sword from Vex. Now, in the moment when he asked if they might have anything, I was like, is he going to get Mythcarver? Because that, or, and then my other thought was Percy's Dragon Slayer.
Mm-hmm. That would be more likely. I feel like if Scanlan doesn't still have Mythcarver, he's giving it to Kaylee.
Yeah. I was watching the live with my daughter. We were having dinner. And when Ashton walks up the stairs, she asked, what is he doing? Like, does he have a shot? And I'm like, no, not really. I was like, if Percy wants, he gets 6 attacks round 1, and then 6 attacks round 2.
Yeah.
It's not impossible for a 7th level to take on a 20th level, or at least a party of 7th levels.
It's definitely not practical.
Yeah, no. One of the things that I was excited by, though, is the presentation of the quest to get your friend back. Because I said that was a possibility that Matt would use.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just relying on Vox Machina to wave the wand and save the day.
Yeah.
I think they made a mistake getting to the hut.
Okay.
I think Chetney had the right idea when he yelled out for Laudna originally. And I think if he would have done that, and if they all would have gone to the hut and called out for her, Marisha probably would have sat down. I could be wrong, but I think if they would have done that, she would have come to the table. But Matt wisely determined that they would probably sneak up and not say hi, and that would allow the trap to be sprung of the shadows coming, of them witnessing the burning of her home. But he left them items that they will need to call upon.
Yeah. What are the 5 things you put in a pentagram to summon me?
Yeah. So I think that's going to be important this week.
Do you think she's back this week or the following week?
This week.
Okay. I think that's a little more likely, but there's part of me that says, because the following week is going to be the last one they do before Halloween. So it'll be the Halloween episode.
Yeah, but I think if you're going to do a Halloween episode, Laudna has to be at the table. Like, Marisha has to be at the table. That's just me. But I guess it kind of depends. It's been a very long time since we've had an entire episode of a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
So Matt could certainly string it out.
What I see as the most likely scenario is she comes back right at the end of next week, and Halloween is her full episode.
I could see that. My feeling is before the break. But
See,
that's
I don't think they're going to hit. I think getting to the place where they're going to fight Delilah, work the separation, is going to be the break. And then after the break is going to be the fight, with the ending being sending Pike, we've got him separated, bring her back. Opening of next week, I'm back.
I guess it all depends on how quickly they get to the combat.
Yeah. That in my brain, that's how I see it working.
Or if Matt set it up as a quest in 3 acts.
Yeah.
Because Act 1 is her hut. Act 2 is the Sun Tree and Delilah. Or at least the introduction to what was happening. Act 3, the resolution, is either is probably the castle, actually. Because if they have
well, wouldn't the castle be before the Sun Tree?
No.
Inviting to dinner before you get hung?
No, because we're going backwards in time. Because the hut was after the Sun Tree.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's the hut, and then something happens at the Sun Tree, which they go. Then we'll have to go to the castle and witness some piece of the dinner.
I can see that.
And that might be, the Sun Tree might be before the break. Conclusion at the castle. At the end, that's when she comes back.
Yeah.
And then we have Marisha back the whole episode for Halloween.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case. I hope she's back before the break. But
me too, because I love me some Wanda. Although I do want to point out that, because over the last 2 weeks of episodes, I've kind of felt like Matt was funneling them towards Vox Machina. But Four-Sided Dive, Marisha said that if Wanda was going to come back, something would have to be different about it. And I think what's happening is they're sewing up the Delilah subplot. She's not going to come back as a hollow one. She's going to come back as just a human.
not impossible, but I
mean, she loses like 3 abilities. And actually not even that, because one of the abilities of the Hollow One is duplicated by the Shadow Sorcerer.
I think she remains a Hollow One, but I think her Warlock changes.
Oh, her Warlock patron is going to change.
Um,
Much like Ford's did.
Yeah. And I think it might be the Raven Queen.
And again, something tells me that she is going, like Ford, she's going to go a few sessions without her Warlock abilities. And my gut says, one of those unknown gods is the one that Raven Queen replaced. And if we're right that this campaign is ditching the copyrighted gods in place of new gods for whatever Darrington Press puts out, her patron is going to be whoever got replaced by the Raven Queen.
I can see that.
I mean, Ford went, 5 episodes without his Warlock powers? 4 or 5?
Yeah.
So she goes 4 or 5 with just her sorcerer abilities, which is more than Ford had because he was all warlock when he dropped them.
Yeah. See, part of me thinks they're going to use the use of pate as the doorway for her Pact of the Chain.
Me too. And
Um,
if anything, if she keeps her warlike powers, it's going to be because whoever it is, whether it's the Raven Queen or the Unknown God or something else entirely, if it's Vax, who knows, they're going to speak to her as she's coming back through Pate. And that's how we're introduced to Pate as an actual familiar.
Yeah. Do you think did Matt give something to Sam? A feat or something, like he did to Laura, to Imogen, for when he triggers his stress again? Since his friends are helping him to deal with it?
Possibly.
And Sam is eager to show that off, and that's why he's spinning the barrels.
That's possible. Honestly, I think he's spinning the barrels because it's Sam, and now that the cat's out of the bag, he wants to play with his toy.
Fair. Which, like, that is one interesting mechanic detail that I wanted to touch on about the battle. Chetney's negative isn't coming into play because his maximum hit points were dropping along with his current hit points.
Yeah.
So he was never at half or below.
Yeah, the negative of being Order of the Lycan.
Yeah.
Of course, every time his max goes down and he's got that right going, there's a bigger chance of him mirroring Molly Mock.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So, I mean, that in itself is a pretty big negative. When you're a blood hunter and you lose your maximum hit points,
yeah,
that's I would argue a bigger negative than the negative of the Order of the Lycan going below half health.
Mm. And I think that first encounter was designed to sap them of their hit points.
Yeah.
Not necessarily spell slots or anything, but hit points. And I'd be interested to know if Matt took those shadows from a third-party source book or if he designed them himself. Because like the AoE shadow thing was interesting.
Yeah.
Like part of me was like, damn, I kind of wish I'd looked through the Colville stuff.
Yeah.
I
was just going to say, it might be a Colville thing. The Mortals Flee or Flee Mortals, whatever it is.
But yeah. The Orem doing his best to protect Imogen in the fight was great.
Yeah.
this gets into the debate on, like, would a Cavalier have been better? Like, mechanically, the D8, I think they're still D8s, aren't they? His superiority dice? I don't think they've gone up to D10s.
No, they'd be D8s right now. I think it's 9th level, the 9th level feature that pushes them to D10s. However,
that is arguably more powerful than disadvantage.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. With Battlemaster, he can do bait and switch, give either himself or Imogen the AC, and then use another superiority die and do goading attack and still give that person disadvantage to attack anyone but him.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Which he did multiple times. So he still yes, he's spending 2 of his superiority die if he does both of those in a turn.
But it's way better than just imposing disadvantage.
He's imposing disadvantage. He's adding that D8 to the damage he dealt in that attack. He's putting an ally out of danger and either giving him either way you've got disadvantage to attack her. But if you attack me normally, I can boost my AC can be boosted.
Yeah.
A D8. That's a lot more than just disadvantage.
It's true. Also, the term that Matt was looking for is fuller. It's not a blood groove. Not that I want to be pedantic or anything, but it has a proper name.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
a lot of things have proper names that are either never used or most people don't even know.
I was thinking about George Carlin at work today, and his words you use wrong bit, and fort. It's not forte, it's fort. Yeah, but anyway, he lost that one, and I inevitably will lose this too, but I did mildly obsess about, and I don't know why, I just did, I just went down in my brain a rabbit hole, wondering about the nature of the runes in the fuller and the sword. Because there's different ways that you can do it. And I found myself wondering which way was used. Because you can carve out and then replace and forge weld them in. You can, with different kind of, and you do that usually with different quality steel or iron, and then you acid wash it, and it comes out in the acid wash as a darker.
Okay.
Or the opposite could have been done with like an inlay of silver or platinum, whatever, and then acid wash the blade so the blade gets dark and those runes stand out as light.
Right. Interesting. I think whichever way, it's going to be tied to blood magic. We've got the blood cleric, we've got the blood wizard, we've got the vital sacrifice feat. It's obviously something Matt's wanting to play with. We've got the blood hunter.
So you think because he called it the blood groove that it's got something to do with that?
I think the runes trigger when he spills blood with it. They're in the blood groove, the fuller, for a reason.
Yeah.
MVP?
MVP.
There's so many options.
Yeah.
I mean, the big four for me, and I know four's not really narrowing it down, were FCG, Imogen, Ashton, and Orem. I think FCG and Imogen make the final two for me.
Interesting. And see, my top four would have been Orem, Imogen, Ashton, and Chetney.
See, for me, Chetney and Ashton didn't really do much for the story. They just kind of popped in and out. Like, and I loved Ashton's interactions, don't get me wrong. I loved the passion he had. Every single thing screamed protection of Laudna and get Laudna back for me and my, you know, my ship. And even when he said, and it's not because of love or anything, I'm like,
that's
you
denial.
Are a fucking liar. That is straight up, like, I was like, no, that is exactly what it is. You're just not ready to admit it.
Yeah.
Everything about that whole conversation said,
yeah,
I'm saying the opposite of what is true. People who have known way longer than her, but she's the one.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
You know, so, I mean, that was hard to rule him out for me. But other than that aspect, which can't really be explored until she's back, what did he do other than give us some fan service?
Yeah.
Tried to pick a fight with Percy, told Trinket to shit somewhere inappropriate. That's all he really did.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't make the final cut for me.
It's fair.
Chetney was just throwing out random shit like Chetney does. Well, I think I feel about Chetney the way you felt about Molly Mock in Campaign 2. So Chetney's really got to do some shit to get an MVP vote from me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I kind of want to...
And FCG...
I kind of have to... I think I'm leaning toward Orem.
Okay.
As my final MVP.
And I'm leaning towards Imogen. Orem's a good choice, though. FCG I kind of lean to in the final two because while he didn't do anything super proactive this session, he was obviously setting himself up to be a big player next session.
Yeah.
And looking towards that end goal of moving the story. And what is our story right now? Getting Laudna back. And setting himself up to be a key player and getting Laudna back in that battle.
Yeah.
Is why he made the final two for me.
I mean, Travis is evil Rose. It's
that. I mean,
it's
Rose.
It's not Chetney. It's Travis.
Yeah. So yes, I 100% agree with you. I will die on that hill, Chetney Ford. Grog was not, but that was his first character, and you always got to try out, you know. And then once you get your taste for it, that's when you're like, okay, let's go evil. He's following the path of a new player. I do not fault him. I love every minute of it.
It's fair.
But it's what it is.
So was Ford as angsty as he's going to be, or not?
I mean, maybe, maybe not. Angsty doesn't equate to evil.
No, but I mean, most people, you know, first, second, or third characters, the angsty one.
Yeah. Then you got Liam, who's always got some angst going on.
It's fair.
I think it'll probably be the most poignantly angsty. Like, angst is a key concept of his character.
Yeah, that's all we have time for tonight, as my alarm sound that I thought I silenced informed us. So until next week, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. It's Thursday.